In this tutorial, we'll build an authentication system using Node.js. Before we start building the app, I would like to remind you that this video is meant to be combined with other videos. So if you want to use Node.js with Angular, React, Next.js, Vue, Nuxt.js or Svelte, I provided some links in the description. Those videos are uploaded or will be uploaded here on YouTube. Also make sure to check scalablescripts.com. Now let's start building the app. So let's start by creating the app. So I will open the terminal and run npm init. So I will keep the default version for everything, and this will create a package.json. So inside, let's install some packages now. The first one is Express, and the other one is savedev nodemon. So these packages are installed. Now let's create an index.js file, and here let's get express. So const express is equal to require express, and we will get the app which is equal to express as a function, and in the end we will listen to port 8000. So let's create our first route. So app get slash, we will have a request and the response, and the response will send hello. So this is our app. To run this app, go to package.json, and here we will add a script start, and this will call nodemon index.js. So to start this up, run npm run start. So this will start on port 8000. So go to localhost port 8000, and we can see hello here. So our app is running successfully. Now let's connect with the database. So to connect, we need to install Mongoose. So I installed it, and here we have to get Mongoose. So const Mongoose is equal to require Mongoose. So I have MongoDB installed locally, and to connect with my local MongoDB, we call mongoose connect. Here we need the URL, which is MongoDB ://localhost, and the name of the schema, which I will call node auth. So you can put here the connection URL to your Mongo connection. So this will have some options, and the last parameter is just a console log connected to the database. Let's see what it's saying. So we have to add some options here because stuff are deprecated. The first one is use new URL parser to true, and the other one is use unified topology to true. So we skip those, and now we are connected with the database. Now let's create a model. So I'll create here a directory models, and inside I will create a file user.js. So inside here we'll get Mongoose again. Mongoose is equal to require Mongoose, and let's create the user schema. So user schema is equal to new mongoose schema, and we will add the fields now, which is the name. We will add the email, and we will add the password. So the name, the type will be a string, and also it is required. Same for the others. For the email, this needs also to be unique. And that's it. Now let's export user schema, module, exports, mongoose, model, user schema. So we export it like this. Now we created the user model and we are ready to use this model to our routes. Before adding any routes, now I will create a folder, routes, and inside I will create routes.js file. Here I will create a router variable which is equal to require express router, and let's add the first route, which is this one. I'll cut this, add it here. So the router, this is a GET request to the main page, and in the end we need to export it. So module exports router. Now that I exported it, we can use it in our index.js. First, let's get the routes from require now the folder routes.js. Now let's use these routes. We can use it simply like this, but since we will add an API prefix to every route, I'll attach /API in front of it, since this will be the prefix of all our routes. So with this, let's go to the routes and change this to a post request to /register. So the actual endpoint is API/register, but we have the prefix here. Now let's register our user. Registering the user is really simple. So we have to create a user which is equal. So first let's import here user from the models. So require ... which is one folder up, models, user. So we get the user model, and here to create a new user we have to call new user, and we will pass here the name, which from the request we'll get it from request body name. We need the email, and the password. So this is okay, except for the password. We need to hash it before we send it here. So let's install another package, npm install bcrypt.js. So this is a package that will help us hash this password. So let's import it here. bcrypt is equal to require bcrypt.js. Now before hashing the password we have to generate a salt, which is equal to await. So sorry, we have to make this function asynchronous first. So we make this function asynchronous so we can call promises with await. bcrypt generates salt, and we will need 10 rounds to generate this salt. Now that we have the salt, let's get the hashed password, which is equal to await bcrypt hash. We will pass request.body.password here, and the second parameter is the salt that we generated. So this will be our hashed password, and we need to pass it here. In the end, we will send the request of await user save. So like this, we'll save the user and we will return it to the response. So let's see this. First, make sure to install Postman. I already did it, so this is my Postman. Now let's send a post request to HTTP localhost port 8000/API/register. And here we will send the body row JSON. We'll send a name, which is A, email, which is a@a.com, and the password, which is A. Let's send this request. So we got an error. So let's see what is the error. Password of undefined. So this password is not retrieved here. Why is that the case? Is because we have to add another middleware here, app use express JSON. So we have to convert the request to a JSON request in order to get the values like this. Let's send the request again, and as we can see, we successfully created the user and the password is hashed. Still, I don't want to return the password when we get the user, so let's remove the password once we create a user. So here I'll convert this, so const an object is equal to this user.save. So I made a mistake. This is the result. This is not the object. The object is this, which is equal to await result to JSON. So the response to JSON will be returned here, and we want to separate the password with the other part of the, I will call it data. And in the end, we'll return the data. So what I did here is I deconstructed this object. I separated the password with the rest, and I returned the rest here. So with this, we can register, and we can not return the password. So I will create a new user here. So I made some tests before. Send the request, and as we can see, we return everything except for the password. So this was our register function. Now let's add login. Router post /login. We will have a request and a response. And what do we want to do now? We will send an email and a password. So first we'll get the user from the email. So user is equal to, let's make this function asynchronous, and the user is equal to await user find one by the email, which is equal to request body email. So now we got the user. We have to check if the user is retrieved. So if not user here, I will return response status 404, so not found. We'll send message user not found, and that's it. So if we don't get the user, we return this message. If we go here, it means that we successfully got the user. So we have to compare right now with the password, so we have to call bcrypt again. So we need to await bcrypt compare. We will compare our password, so request body password, with the user that we got. So this user has the hashed password. So this is the compare that we want, and I will wrap it with an if condition, and I will add an exclamation point here. So if not, this means that the password is incorrect. So I can copy this, I'll paste here, and the status will be 400, and I will say invalid credentials. So this means that the password is incorrect, and now for the moment, now when I go here, I'll just send response send the user. So let's try this. So I'll copy the URL, paste it here, login, I'll send a post request, and I'll send the user with the email a@a.com, and the password is A. Send the request, and as we can see, we successfully got the user. If we send the wrong email, we get user not found. If we set the wrong password, invalid credentials. So this works fine. Now let's generate the JWT token. So let's install first a package, npm install JSON Web Token. So we install this package and we will get it here. So const JWT is equal to require JSON Web Token. And now we got the user. Now we want to store the ID inside the JWT token. So the token will be equal to JWT sign, and the first parameter is the data that we want to send. So I'll send here the ID, which is user.id. So this is the ID of the user. We want to store it inside the JWT. And the second parameter is a secret key, and I will just write it directly. Usually these secret keys are stored in env files, but I will write it here. So with this secret key and the algorithm here, we will generate JWT token, but we don't want to send it from the response. So I will send it just to show it how it looks like. So let's send the request, and this is the token that we want. Now this token, we want to store it to an HTTP-only cookie. To do it, we have to do it like this. So response cookie. We have to create a cookie with a name JWT. The value is a token, and we have to pass some options. The first one is HTTP only, should be true. This is really important because the frontend won't be able to access this cookie if we put it HTTP only true, so it means it will be more secure. The only purpose of an HTTP only cookie is to be sent in the backend, and the backend can validate it. So this cookie is sent. We also need the max age. So I will send here 24 times 60 times 60 times 1000. So I'll try to make it 1 day here. So this is in milliseconds. So this is a second, 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 24 hours. So this is the max age of this cookie. And for the response, we'll just say message success. We don't want to return the cookie. So I'll send the request again, but we don't have any cookie right now. If I send the request, I get message success, but as we can see here, we get a cookie, which is HTTP only. Now with this cookie, let's get the authenticated user. Before doing that, we need to add one more thing in our index.js, and that is course. So let's install another package, npm install course. So let's get course here, which is equal to require course, and here we need to use it. So app use course. What is course and why do we need it? So usually the front end will have a different port than our backend, and the browser will throw an error if that happens. So if we add course here, it will prevent that, but we need course also for another thing, which is for credentials to true. This means that the cookie that we send here, the frontend should get it. So we exchange the cookie unless, so if we set credentials to true, then we exchange the cookies. If we don't set this to true, then we don't exchange that cookie, then we won't be able to authenticate. So this is really important. And the other change that I will do is the origin. Here you need to put the endpoint of, so the port of your frontend. So I'll put all the frontends here, but you should put your frontend which is your favorite. So HTTP localhost port 3000 is for React. I'll copy this. I'll add 8080. This is for Vue, and this is for Angular 4200. So you can pick whichever you are working on. You don't have to add all of this. So now we completed the login. Now let's add the route for the authenticated user. So router, post user. This will have a request and a response. And what do we want to do? First, I made a mistake. This is a GET request, not a POST request. And the first thing that we want to do is to get the cookie. And to get the cookie, we have to use another package called cookie parser. So let's install another package, npm install cookie parser. So we installed it. Now let's use it here. Cookie parser is equal to require cookie parser. Now we have to use it here. So app use cookie parser like this. And with this, we can go to the routes and we can get the cookie like this. So request cookies JWT. And for the moment, just return it. So let's send the cookie. So I'll copy this, paste it here, and this is user. Also something, the cookies will be preserved if we switch tabs. So here we can send the GET request, and as we can see, we get the cookie here. We got the cookie here, but we also return it here. Now we return this cookie. Now let's do the opposite of signing this JWT. So we have to decode it. So we have to do it like this. So we'll create a variable claims. this is equal to JWT verify. We'll pass the cookie here, and the second parameter is the secret that we send. So secret here. Make sure also this secret to store it in an env file, because this should not be added here. And now that we got the claims, we make the condition if we don't have them. So this means that we are not authenticated. So I'll copy this part, paste it here. The status is 401, which means unauthorized, and the message is unauthenticated. And if we get successful the claims, now let's get our user. So user is equal to await. Let's make this asynchronous. User find one, and the ID is equal to claims ID, like this. So I'll show you what the claims returns. So claims, let's send the request. So we get the ID and the time that this token was created. So this is the time that was created. And with this, we get the user. So we can return the user, send the request, and successfully we got the authenticated user. Now I want to remove the password as well here. So we'll get here the password and the data, or you can call it whatever. So I want to return the data here, and we should do it like this. So user and const password and data is equal to await user to JSON, like this. So I'm not sure why this is not working, but here we can see that we return the user without the password. So we successfully retrieved the password, and now the last change is to add the logout functionality. So here I will put router post to logout. We'll have a request and a response. And what do we want to do is we want to remove the cookie. The way we remove a cookie is not by using a function to remove a cookie, but we have to set again the cookie. So we have to use it like this: response cookie JWT. So we will set again the cookie. We'll set the value to empty. And the way to delete the cookie is to set the expiration date to the past. Or right now I will do a max age to 0. So this cookie that we created will expire immediately. It means that we successfully removed it. And in the end, we return a message, success. So this is how we remove a cookie. Now let's test it. So I'll copy the URL, paste it here, logout, and we will send a post request. So in the user, we got a cookie and we successfully get a user. If we send a post request here, we get success, but we remove the cookie. Now, if I send the request again to the user, we get an error. Why is that the case? It's because the JWT must be provided. So if we use it like this, this will throw an error. So I will wrap it with a try catch. if that error happens, and we will return the same response. So there are two cases where we return unauthenticated: when we don't have the cookie at all, or where the cookie is invalid. So send request unauthenticated. Now let's log in again, and we got the user again. So this is how the authentication works. I hope you like this tutorial. If you do, please like and subscribe. Thank you.